Hey friend, how you doing? How's your week been? How is life treating you? I hope life is treating you well. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for joining me here on the Stormcast. Lots to catch up on or to talk about this week, and just sharing with you honestly the weird and wonderful way that my mind works, and I love it for me. So the last time we spoke, I was telling you about my online dating life. That's been interesting. I've got a lot of feedback from that last episode. Thank you to everybody who listened. And clearly I'm giving insider gist to a number of people as well. But, I love that for me. That's fine. But that's not really the main gist I want to gist today. I want to catch up on things that have been going on around the world. I've been meditating a lot on identity because there's a project I'm working on that's exploring that correlation between identity and how we operate as adults, our value in the world, how we make money. And we have to admit, money is really, really important these days. For some people, money is God. That's a scary statement to make, but it really is fact. And that's a separate episode that I will be discussing and kind of going into. And it's scary, but that's a separate episode. The Pope passed away. Speaking of people and God and people close to God. Pope Francis is no more, which is really sad. Considered the people's Pope. Pope Francis was someone who really, honestly, I feel moved in the world with love. I was raised Catholic. Am I a practicing Catholic right now? That's not the point. The point is that Pope Francis created a really Christ-like and welcoming environment for everybody in the world. And he said, we understand that you may consider something a sin, but who are we to judge? The point of God's church on earth is to be open to one another. He was constantly pushing to cease conflict. He was constantly pushing for the ceasefire of what's happening between Israel and Gaza. He was constantly pushing for not just reformation, but also just togetherness. And, that's a big loss to everybody in the world. It's a big loss to the Catholic Church. A number of people turned out for the Pope's funeral. Pope Francis was buried. He died on the 21st of April 2025 is when we lost him. There were dozens of heads of states attending his funeral. About 250,000 mourners in general turned up in Rome. So that's going to be busy. There'll be a lot of traffic, or there must have been at the time. But many people showed up to pay their respects. If you were watching the news, you would see a number of significant heads of states, including US President Donald Trump. I know I hesitated because, but former US President Joe Biden was there. Prince William of the United Kingdom was there. There was also Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, was in attendance. The Italian president, which is very important because Italy is the country that surrounds the Vatican being its own independent state. We also had people like the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres there. So a number of really important people showing up just to pay their respects. Or at least that's what we thought, because if you go by what we were watching on the news over the weekend, it just looked like people also showed up to discuss politics. Front headlines for a lot of news outlets was not so much like even the Pope. It was images of Donald Trump and President Zelensky in deep conversation. And yes, while we know that you guys show up there for political reasons and alliances, perhaps you try to keep that not as obvious, And they came out actually making statements too, saying, this could be potentially historic. I think that's how Zelensky referred to it, like we made some historic movement. The US presidency saying, there was positive movement or something. I'm like, you guys relax now. Anyway, if it's in the aid of peace, because Trump been trolling Zelensky and it's awkward for all of us who have to watch it. It's sincerely awkward. And this is just my reminder to anyone who's listening, go and catch up on that. It's quite important because their behavior affects world markets. Like tariffs, yeah, that's a big deal. With the Pope having passed, there will be a conclave. That's how you kind of choose the next Pope in session. The conclave typically will take place about 15 to 20 days after the death of a Pope. So they are estimating that perhaps early May, the conclave will start. All the cardinals that vote for it, it's like a college of cardinals. There are about 135 members, but the voting cardinals, of whom I think there are up to 135 members, you have to be under 80 years to vote. So at least some limitation, unlike African elections. I'm just saying. That's not shade, that's just reality. And for a new pope to be elected, they require basically 2/3 of the vote. Now, there's a number of things that are considered within the conclave. There are prayers, there are, policies, there are votes, all those things come into factor. And I haven't actually looked at who the the running mates. Maybe I don't think we have any official names out there yet, but once I have that, I'm quite curious. Also, I noticed that from when the announcement of Pope Francis passing came, people started talking about the Conclave, which is also a film. It's a movie that's been done. It's out. And I know the Conclave picked up a number of awards. I think there were BAFTAs and such picked up. So I need to see the Conclave. If you have seen it, comment Conclave below. Let me know what that was like. No spoilers, please. I beg, no spoilers. Some of you people, when you want to comment, which we love, and thank you for engaging with content, you're not going to comment spoilers. It's wicked for everybody else now. Even if me, I've seen it. That's not the way to show off your knowledge of the film appreciation. Like, you can look at other things. And please, don't post spoilers of films or series or whatever. It's really quite stressful. We don't like that. Speaking of posting spoilers and films, guys, Sinners came out. Ryan Coogler is the director. It's his film. It's called Sinners. It's absolutely important for you to watch that film. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm very careful about spoilers. But the reason I want to talk about Sinners again is because of this thing of identity and money. So when Sinners came out in cinemas, there were a lot of funny headlines that came out. Funny headlines came out alongside Sinners. When I say funny headlines, I mean headlines that would make you go, but I don't understand. This film is doing well. Why would you be negative about this? So in a recent article that was published by a particular online platform, Variety, they were talking about the film's success. Its opening weekend, globally, it picked up $61 million. And I mean, that's impressive. It's a pretty huge deal. It's a horror film. So it's even more impressive for a horror film. So this magazine, this online platform, Variety, and they said, you know, it's a great result, but profitability remains a ways away. After the film's eye-popping 90 million price tag. Like, bro, they pulled in 61 million, like, on the opening weekend. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? And so many people were critical of that statement because it felt as though where there were similar situations in previous years with certain films like Tarantino's, which one was it? One of Tarantino's films anyways, having a similar opening weekend, there was no such contingency statement made. Like, that statement was completely unnecessary. Why would you throw in that kind of contingency statement when something is just great? It's holding fantastic critical reviews, fantastic audience reviews. It's definitely a cinema film that is worth watching. It's absolutely worth watching. I want to go see it again. And Sinners is impressive for so many reasons, because now it's second weekend. At the time I'm recording this is basically on a Sunday. So official box office numbers for it are not in yet for the weekend. They're being estimated to pull in about 42 to 44 million US dollars in its sophomore weekend. That's huge. After 48 million opening domestically, so this is 42 to 44 domestically, not even globally. That would be arguably the smallest drop in history for any movie outside a holiday type of film or period. Isn't that nuts? And Michael B. Jordan, of course, did the cutest thing on his Instagram. He sent us all like a little video. He said, guys, thank you so much. It just means so much. The outpouring of love. We are outpouring love to you. Michael B. Jordan, don't worry. And to Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler had actually written a really lovely note as well to all of us. And it's really all of us because we were involved. I want to go see the film. I'm scared of horror films. So for anyone who's thinking, I don't want to see it as a horror. No, it's okay. Me, I'm number one scaredy cat. There was some tension. There was some tension while I was watching this. I was a bit tensed, but it was worth watching. It was a thoroughly enjoyable film on so many levels. First of all, visually, the director of photography, her name is Autumn Durald. She was, when you're looking at the screen, you're like, I just want to keep watching this film. I just want to keep seeing it. Every shot was so intentional. A favorite scene of mine is the juke joint scene. The camera weaving and magic combined with the music. Oh my God, I had goosebumps. I was so obsessed with it mentally. As soon as I came out of the film, it sent me straight to my Spotify and I downloaded the original soundtrack, which I've been listening to almost non-stop since I first watched the film. It is beautiful. And again, a big shout out to also the production designer of the film. Her name is Hannah Beechler. Isn't that great? There's so many women in like key parts for this film, and she designed a space that felt so real that even with a touch of VFX here, a touch of whatever, it just enhances performances. And I will say honestly, as an actor, there's nothing like walking into a space, walking onto a set, and is giving everything you needed to give so that you can sink into that role. Ooh, it's so good. And people that sunk into their roles. Shout out to the queen, Wumi Mosaku. What? Nah, she like I was in. Oof, girl, Annie girl, Annie girl, Annie girl. Everybody's performance was spot on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A big shout out though to Michael B. Jordan, because what a hard worker. He played twins in that film, and to think about the level of detail in the film, then you now think about the level of work he had to put in, not just for one character. You multiply that by 2 in the same goddamn film at the same goddamn time. My goodness. Yeah, I'm going back to watch that film. It has so much to sink your teeth into, and it is a film based on family history, based on identity. Again, this is how identity is so important. We believe that identity is so culturally important that it will break box offices. That's what people will call authentic. That's what they'll call it unique. Because no matter how many groups we say we identify with, everybody's identity still has so much detail within it. And it is worth talking about that detail. It is worth exploring that detail. It is worth showcasing that detail intentionally in every scene, in every line of dialogue, in every bit of story, whether it's true life, whether it's fictional. And the truth is, fiction and true life often intertwine so beautifully, and that's part of what makes this film so dope. So it got me super excited. I was like, guys, if you have not seen Sinners, just go and see the film. Just go, like, you don't even watch a trailer. If you haven't seen trailer, don't even watch a trailer. Just get up and go, because you want to watch it the first time, you want to watch it the second time. I truly believe so. I think that's how films are supposed to be made. It should have so much detail in there that you're like, oh, I want to go back and see this. And the performance should be so in tune with the truth of those characters that you can see how you can start imagining how you would want to respond in that situation, how that would make you feel. You can start, it draws you into the world of imagination of the performance on screen, because you're like, yo, can you imagine being there if I was there? You start dramatizing it. But that's me, because I'm also an actor, so I live in that world of imagination in my head. But it's fantastic, the work that all those creatives did, and it took so long. It's phenomenal. I definitely applaud them. And I should say, when you go to the cinema, guys, learn to stay until the credits are done, please. Okay? Because how you know if your uncle or your auntie or your friend that you knew from school that year is inside the film if you don't stay and watch the end credits? Then you can use that person to brag for the rest of your life. Come on. Also, if you don't stay till the end, then you miss some after end bits, and there are after end bits in this film. So sit your ass down until the credits are done, and then you leave the cinema. Identity and money. And I love seeing the role that women are playing in this as well, the way it's just expanding. I mean, female cinematographers will always be a personal fave. So what Sinners has done is, in my wildest dreams, what I want Red Circle to do, right? Because it's definitely a film that touches on a lot of elements. Again, like that sort of family. It touches on, I can't give away because the trailer isn't out, but our trailer is out soon. Our trailer is actually out on the 2nd of May. So look out for that. I'm not sure if I was supposed to say that, but I've said it now. So all 10 people that listen to the podcast now know. I love that. Now, speaking of identity, also in the news, gotta talk about the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. I have to talk about it though. Guys, do you know what Ibrahim Traore is doing? That guy is changing the game for West African countries and what independence could look like. And it is scaring a lot of people because, to be fair, he came into power through a coup. But there have been a couple of coups attempted since he's been in power, and I think he's making a lot of people uncomfortable. But he's also a very popular president for many reasons. One, he is the world's current youngest president. Ibrahim Traore is 36 years old, so he has the vim, he has the energy. He's like, oh boy, I did. Like, we're gonna pull ourselves out of the tough situation we're in. Some of the really popular moves he's made in an effort to bring control of the country's resources, of the country's identity back into the hands of people within the country. He has nationalized 2 of their gold mines. Now, it's a very mineral-rich country, Burkina Faso. In case you didn't know, they have gold, they have diamonds, they have a lot of resources that are largely still untapped. But what they had been doing, like most African countries, is just exporting it to Europe. Well, he stopped that. He stopped exporting unrefined gold to Europe. Now he's established a refinery for the country, so they will start refining their gold and then selling it, which will continue to increase their GDP, which has already made gains. So there's a really strong movement with saying, no, they don't even want to take loans from the IMF. No, they don't want the World Bank interfering. No. And this is him putting his foot where his mouth is and saying, Africa can sort out Africa's problems. We don't need any more aid. We don't need any more this. We just need strong policy. So now everybody's just watching to say, okay, this is great. We love the direction you're going, sir. This is exactly what we want for us. What remains to be seen is the rest of the government making sure they fall in line, making sure that there are plans put in place for when corruption and stupidity enters the chat, when sometimes people just want to ruin the benefits for everybody else. But I have hope. I love what I've been seeing coming out of Burkina Faso. I know that a number of average Africans that I've spoken to online, both on the continent and the diaspora, are also positively optimistic. So, fingers crossed for everything, and we keep moving in that direction. We hope things will sort themselves out. We genuinely do. I love that for us, guys. All right, so I feel like I've done like my little news spiel. That was really important because I also have been connecting with my close friends and my close family. Recently, I'm making sure that I'm more structured and more organized about the way that I put in time to meet with my people, tour my peoples. And in those conversations, a number of these things came up. And I was like, do you know what? I sort of miss digging a little bit into what that means, not just for me, but for you. I like breaking down the world news in a very simplistic, easy to digest way. Again, really for me, but also for you. And I just hope that some of the things that I share are useful. So if you found that there's something I shared with you that maybe you didn't know before, at least you enjoyed hearing, or you enjoyed me pointing that out, yeah, raise your hand as an emoji. I want to say, put your hand up, please. That's, if you know me in real life, I do that a lot. My hand goes up, which is pretty cool. Anyways, back to this thing of identity. Like, who are we? I'm also in therapy. So during my therapy session, this has come up a little bit because I think a lot of therapy in general, a lot of counseling teaches you to spend time considering not just the person you are, but the person you would like to be. I don't enjoy discussing things excessively in the past tense and about, like, I've got to find my trauma. I've got to find the thing that ruined me. No, I'm really more interested in, okay, perhaps I behave like this for this reason, but more importantly, what way do I want to behave? And who do I want to be? What does showing up as my best self look like? And how do I make sure I show up as that? And that is a form of identifying, right? It's identifying identity of self. Who do you say that you are? Who do you tell people that you are? Who do people say that you are? And have you taken on the identity that you tell people you are, or have you taken on identities that people tell you that you are? I know, right? I know you got to think about it. Like you actually have to think about it. How many times has someone said to you, this baby, you don't know you're stubborn. You're just stubborn. That's how you are now. You're always doing. How many times have you agreed to statements like that in your head? I'm a sip my coffee. Think about that. There are a lot of times people will tell us things about ourselves, and without consciously being aware of it, we agree. Is it something you should be agreeing to? Write it down. It's journaling thoughts. These are all things to consider. And I find it especially interesting because I went on a real life date recently. Yeah, that's right, guys. I know these are the juicy people are really waiting for. I did go on a real life date recently, and it was great. It was a really good date. I really enjoyed our conversation. I really enjoyed the conversation, because that's really what it came down to. And a good part of the reason why I enjoyed that conversation is not just because of the person I was conversing with. And I know he's going to listen to this and be like, haha, I made it into the podcast. Let me make notes. It's like an inside cheat code, isn't it? But it was also because I had taken a lot of time to think about the things that I want, the things that I want to know, the way that I want to communicate, and how I want to communicate clearly. And that's really, really important for all of us. So I want you guys to make a note of that. You genuinely have to spend time considering the things that are important to you, and you have to reflect on them quite often. You also have to reflect on the way you want to show up and show up as that. Otherwise, life will be pulling you on some kind of crazy merry-go-round, and you're wondering why you're ending up with results that you don't actually like. You've got to be really intentional. So yes, the date was a great date, but it was also because on some level, both parties had been doing that kind of internal work. And I really like that. I like that a lot. Another question I asked over the phone later on, this is post-date because we continue to just, so just call this person B. I don't know. I just thought of letters of the alphabet. And I said, how do you identify? Like, do you identify as a bad boy? And they're like, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, do you identify? And to be honest, when they asked me, what do I mean by that statement? I also had to stop and think about it. What does it mean to be a bad boy? What does that statement mean to you guys? Because I still have to think about what it means to me. And I think, a bad boy in my mind is somebody who projects a lot of sexuality and possibly danger. Is that right? Is that wrong? I think there's this whole element of bad boyism that is allegedly attractive to women and makes women go, oh my gosh, that's what I want. I need a bad boy. I'm not at the age of my life where that's really what I'm looking for. Not even the age of the stage of my life like that. That also comes with a lot of stress, because I do believe that a sexual connection is important. Oh God, my parents never listened to this episode. I do believe that it's really important, but it's not the priority of a thing. And when somebody identifies in that way with the bad boy image and everything that comes with it, with this tough exterior, with this, I don't, like I'm too cool for school. No, I don't like the people that are too cool for school. They are difficult and they have coconut head and they're now going to do something stupid and they don't know how to now, like an adult, communicate their way through the stupid thing, and they just go into sulk and silence and ghost, of which ghosting is the number one weapon of choice for all dating people in the year 2025. It's crazy. Not just 2025. It's been a thing for quite a while, and please don't do that to people. Don't just go silent. It's tough. We all get overwhelmed, and I'm beginning to understand that on some level that's what mini ghosting that we all do in some way or form really is, where you just get overwhelmed and you don't know what to say, so you say nothing and you just go silent. That silence should not last more than like a few hours. Like, be actively processing and working on whatever the issue is and communicate it as clearly as you are able to. Nobody needs to be perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Let people know what's going on. Even if all that's going on is, I can't actually communicate like this. What's happened is there's an incident that's occurred in my life. It's made me feel particularly overwhelmed. And when that happens, I sort of shut down. So even though I've been talking to you every day for this period of time, I'm just going to need some time to shut down for a bit. Please, this is nothing personal. That's so well communicated, don't you think? But you see, when we don't know how to talk to ourselves, when we don't know how to honor ourselves and communication within ourselves, when we do not take the time to understand why we are feeling certain feelings, we just make knee-jerk reactions, and it has serious ramifications for everybody around us, not just the people you're talking to, but your family as well. If you have younger ones that are influenced by you, they're picking it up. If you have children that are influenced by you, they're picking it up. You may think they're not, but they are, because that behavior isn't showing up in just one area of your life. It's showing up all around your life, because that behavior is a core part of who you are now. Sorry. So please take the time to emotionally regulate. Take the time to assess, why are you feeling like this? And try to communicate it to whoever it is you need to at the time. Whether it's a friend that's asked you to show up in a particular way that you feel you are unable to, think about that. Think about, why am I unable to? Am I just anxious? Am I just unwilling? Do I just not see this person as that close to me? Do I just not have the time, the financial resources, the mental space? Is it because I'm dealing with serious illness in my own family? There's so many factors that could be popping up. There's so many things that are happening with you as an individual that other people don't know, and that is completely fine. They don't have to know the nitty-gritty. However, you owe it to yourself to recognize how life's vicissitudes are impacting you. And I know I speak a lot of big English sometimes, but that's when the Spirit is flowing through me and I'm being so sincere. There are things in life that are going to affect you guys. We're human. So many things are coming at us at all different times. It may seem like a big deal to others. It may not seem like a big deal to others. Nobody cares about the others in that situation. But you owe it to yourself to examine how it is affecting your actions in the real world. And interpersonal relationships are an important part of human life. Whether it's at work because you have to make some money to make a living, so you have to interact with people. And if whatever is going on in your personal life, whatever is going on with you, however you are feeling about yourself and the world at large, is going to affect how you're showing up at work. You deserve to take the time to examine that. And then it is important to figure out the best way to communicate it to people at work, especially if it's impacting work and impacting it negatively. Same goes with your personal life. It's about identity. Sometimes we're worried about, I don't believe in Jesus' name. I'm healed in Jesus' name. Also, maybe you do have depressive episodes. Also, and maybe you are an anxious person. So it does take a little bit longer to do something. It does take a little bit longer to come through if somebody expresses certain types of emotions in your direction. That's completely okay. Communicate that shit. And you don't have to say, oh my God, I'm an anxious person, so I can't. You'll just say, do you know what? I've noticed that in myself, I have this thing where people come at me this way. It makes me feel like this. So please, if you notice that I take a pause, don't take that personally. And when that pause is happening, just say, okay, I'm having my moment. Give me a second. And then find coping tools. Find actual functional tools that will help you to deal with that, to face that anxiety. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because human beings, sometimes we allow titles, we allow perfectionism, we allow the way that we think we should be showing up in the world to just mess with our brains. And it does not need to do that. It doesn't. So that's just a little bit of identity. And that ties into our value. And now it's not monetary value, because we are more than the worth of our paycheck. We are more than the worth of, what you earn for a certain thing or a certain project. We have value, and how you see yourself is really, really important. The value that you ascribe to yourself and for what reasons you have that value is really important. If you are only ascribing monetary value to yourself, like, oh, this person will only accept me if I have this, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. If you as a woman are saying, oh, well, the value I have for this man, and you may not say it in that way, you may not even know you're saying it in that way, but you feel you have to sleep with somebody, and that's when you are worth them giving you something. Like there has to be that kind of crazy exchange. It doesn't need to be that. It does not need to be that. You should know that within yourself, intrinsically, you are a valuable person. When you step into a room, you bring a level of positivity, you bring a level of energy. I was at this event yesterday. It was so cool. The one that Nora received an award for, Hertitude Sikoko organizing that. No, big shout out to them, actually. It was super cool. I've never been in a space that I was consciously aware of like that. A party like that where it's all women on the inside. I'm talking the technical crew as well as the security. No single man on the inside. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because it meant that a lot of these girls could be as comfortable as they wanted to and float around, and that identity is like its own cool thing. And now I can't remember why I mentioned this, but I know it was important. Losing your train of thought is so annoying. Don't you hate that? That's also an age thing, another way that I identify. Yeah, but it's really, I know that, yes, I remember, yes, because it's about value and how you present, and just the energy, that's intrinsically how you show up. And when I thought of energy, I immediately thought of Kiki. Kiki was up on stage, and her energy is so big and it's badass, and that's who she is. I love that shit. I was hype. I was like, I love that. And that's somebody who's clearly showing up in a space that is not as if, oh, this is because it's exchange for, they want me to do this, so I'm doing this. No, that's somebody who clearly shows up the way that she loves to show up, because she's like, how you girlies doing? It's a little dance, a little leg walk coming into the chat. We loved that. The girlies were going crazy. It was nice. And I really love that for us. So, people like Kiki, big shout out to her, because she shows up in a way that reminds you to show up the way that you are fully. And I hope that when you move out in the world, you think about that, the best way that you can show up as yourself. It's not saying trying to be something else. It's not saying impose on other people. It's not saying copy somebody else. Just you as you are, and find what that value is intrinsically. Your mental wellness depends on it. Anyways, that's it. I've come to the end of my chit chat for this episode. It's been a long one, but that's because a lot of things have also happened in the world, and I really just wanted to share that with you. So that's that. I will be back again next week. I will figure out a particular day for these to drop, but every week you will hear from me, because that's the commitment I'm making to you, and that's me showing up as my best self. So thank you so much, my lovelies. Don't forget to check out the website. There are always updates up on folustorms.com. You can always head over to my Twitter, because I have a little Linktree address that has all the most current things that are popping up in my life as well. And on the 6th of June, I want to see all of you in cinemas. Please help us do crazy numbers. The way Sinners is doing crazy numbers, help us do crazy numbers. It'd be like, yo, when Red Circle opened up, this is how it opened up. So guys, from 6th of June, we are in cinemas, and we will be rolling out in cinemas across the world, and we will keep you updated. That's it. Love you so bad. Bye-bye.